So thank you, Officer Lumpkin. I'm Kim Leonard, Mayor of Peachtree City. I want to start out by telling you that this is an incredibly important effort. Peachtree City's Citizens Police Academy has been in place since 1992, which means 32 years of graduates, all citizen volunteers. That is incredibly impressive.
Road safety checks, that's going to be your DUI checkpoints, it's going to be your golf cart checkpoints.
I think the reason I signed up for this class is I wanted to get a little bit better understanding from the real world what I see in the 911 center as a call taker. Expectations high, let's just see what happens going through the school. I have a few questions I want to ask about how they handle certain different types of calls. And I'd like to see what the officer's perspective is when they have to go on these calls when we put them in. I don't think there's anything of a preconceived notion about that. I just want to let's see how this all plays out.
I was just wearing the drunk goggles, basically. You put them on and it's supposed to let you feel what it would feel like to be drunk. It was extremely difficult. I was very surprised at how I actually didn't pay much attention to the officer when he was giving me rules or the instructions because I was focused more on trying to stand up. Because it was actually pretty fun. I mean, you know, it wouldn't have been fun if I was pulled over in that condition, obviously. But I mean, tonight, you know, just feeling that effect. And honestly, I think if I ever am out drinking, it'll allow me to think more about, oh, I remember that feeling. Let me call Uber.
Well, you know, we're doing the simulated pullover for a speeding ticket, and you know, at first you're a little nervous, but then you think, well, it's just a speeding ticket, and you go up there. It happens so fast that, and for one split second, I couldn't see his hands, and that's when I got shot. So it happens fast, and it gives me an appreciation for how difficult it is for the officers, because the reaction time is almost nothing. So God bless them. That's a tough job.
As a police officer, we have to make split-second decisions. Walking up to a vehicle, you don't know if the person's going to be nice. You don't know if they are wanted. So a lot of times, we just have to make split-second decisions when interacting. So to make the decision of whether to shoot or not shoot in this scenario is just designed to show them that how quickly something can go bad.
Whoa. All right. This time too aggressive.
I think when citizens experience our police academy, they're always impressed at how composed our dispatchers are. We get these phone calls when people are going through some of the worst moments of their lives and they're panicked, they're not always audible or calm, and they're looking for immediate direction and immediate assistance. And dispatchers have to be composed enough to make sure that they are able to calm down the person who's calling so that they can get the proper information to help them in the situation. Yeah, it's a really difficult job, and dispatchers don't always get the credit that they deserve, but they're very important to our safety, to officers being able to properly get to calls, to having the correct information that they need for calls, and being safe.
So now who's opening the doors? That brain?
Yes, ma'am. Track of all of our keys. An officer can, the hallway we're standing on is what we call Main Street. This is the main corridor throughout the jail.
We go through the presentation at the jail. They talk about the intake process from the time that inmates come into the jail and what they end up doing as far as checking them in, removing their clothes. While they're in intake, they talk to medical, make sure everything is fine before they end up going into the housing unit. They are locked down most of the days. Most of the time, people are very surprised at how clean Fayette County Jail is. I think one of the things that always alarms people is the size of the cell. There's not a lot of room when you're actually sharing the cell with another person. And just the amount of locked doors, the points of security, the cameras, and just typically surprised by how many inmates there are versus the correction officers that are in the facility.
because you're on mute. You sit right there and y'all don't move.
In the SRT presentation for the Citizens Police Academy, we go over the purpose of our special response team, the duties, the makeup of it, the types of calls that we typically respond to or are called to respond to, the training that's involved, the selection process. The hostage rescue scenario is a typical business hostage, possibly a bank type scenario where there's several customers or several hostages, and then simulated the actual hostage rescue part of that scenario. So once the scenario is over, we do take them outside. We have a little debrief with them and see how they perceived it and what they thought about it, and then we kind of explain kind of the how and the why certain things are done certain ways. And then we have a setup of all of our equipment. We've talked about some of the equipment in the presentation, but they get a chance to see some of the actual equipment, feel it, some of the protective equipment, some of the other tools that we have, and kind of get an idea of the weight involved, the limited field of view that's involved with some of the shields, some of the weights of some of the weapons and things like that, and what we may use those weapons for.
I want to see hands, I want to see all that. Is it a wallet in his hand? Is it a cell phone? There's different ones. We don't use that weapon like...
If I need another one, I'll drop it like this. They'll put it in.
Typically, we get the equipment's much heavier than they realize. Most people think it's very fast and very overwhelming, much more than they've ever kind of thought it would be based on TV and movie experience.